Hello and welcome to ARK, complete series. Well, the plan for today is to get these Equus breeding because we tamed them in the previous episode, and the goal is, well, I want to see if I can come up with an Equus that can help me with these missions: Bulldog Fetch and Maywing Poach. So what we managed to get out of these is quite lucky, I suppose. I mean, I've got like 4 different stats that I want to get out of these, and I've actually got 2 breeding pairs, so I've got those 2 there that will breed together. Now, basically whatever we get from those 2 with those 2 stats, we'll then use to breed with whatever we get from these 2 and their 2 stats. But at some point I do want to do some breeding with this one as well, just because this one, when we tamed this one, I didn't really get the like a full sort of like set of levels out of this one. I mean, it's only level 181 that we got because the taming didn't quite go to plan. Basically, it had been a long time since I'd actually done any taming with any of these Equus, so it was, yeah. So as far as I recall, the offspring of one of these does get its full actual stats, as if you'd actually, you know, managed to fully tame the actual parent. So I'm just going to test that out, because I'm just somewhere in the back of my mind I remember that, but we'll have to see. So we're going to get these pairs starting to breed. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. So you can get started. Yep, there you go. Then we get these 2. It's going to take a while, I must admit. I mean, we're not going to do any imprinting for a long time until I get a complete Equus from all of them. I mean, it's going to take quite a bit, because I mean, yeah, I mean the stats on these will be all over the place. And basically what I want is a baby from these that have got both of their stats, but all of their other stats are just all over the place, basically. So it can take a while. It's really a matter of luck. I mean, the actual taming and breeding settings on this particular server are really quick, I must admit. But all the same, it can still take a while, because it's a game of patience, basically. So we'll get those all going at it. So yeah, you can see we're about halfway through, and I can't speed it up even though I've got S+. You can speed things up if you've got the egg-laying dinos, if you use the S+ hatchery, but you can't do that with mammals like these. You've just got to basically go through the process, and it's going to take some time. So we're going to leave these. And then here, when I eventually do get something that we can then use to do some more breeding, I'll bring you back. Aha, well, that didn't actually take too long, because this is the second foal that we got from these 2. So we've got one Equus which has got 1815 in health, and this one here, she's got 1815 in health. The other one's got 2576 in stamina, and she's got 2576 in stamina. So I'm not going to go any further with these 2. Don't really see much point, because I mean, yeah, I mean, they've probably got some stats that we could have done, because I mean, the level on this one's 200. The highest level that we've got is 209, so there's probably other stats in here that would be better. But yeah, I mean, I've got the other 2 stats over here anyway, so I think I might just leave that there now that we've got this one. Although I am tempted to, I could breed her with him, because then it is then possible to get a male that's got all 3, well, 3 of the 4 stats, I should say. Interesting, they look similar colours. if I could turn if I could turn these around, it would help. One thing I've noticed though is that the foals sometimes they actually end up getting burned. Well, if you go off camera, you know, if you go out a render distance, I should say, you end up with yeah, you can end up with the foals literally underneath the floorboards. Whereas if you're here, they'll just literally pop up and spring up in mid-air and just fly all over the place, which can be quite amusing. But I'm just a bit concerned. I mean, her food levels, yeah, her food levels are going up, so that's all right. So she is at least eating off the trough, and I've got tons of berries. I mean, I can go back to the text strider I've got down there because it's got like tons and tons of berries. So I think I might do that because obviously these are chomping through these quite quickly. I mean, I can always throw them some carrots because I've got this all automated now, and I've got this item aggregator which is it's just basically automating the whole process of collecting all of these vegetables I've got. Although one thing I've noticed, it's not the gardener, or is it the gardener? Yeah, it's the gardener. One of the things the gardener can do is actually destroy the things like the seeds, because this is just going to keep collecting all of the vegetables plus all of the seeds. One thing I like about the gardener is it will destroy the seeds, because I've got no further use for them. But anyway, now that I think about it, I'm actually going to get her to breed with him, because then I can get an Equus that's got potentially those two stats that she's got plus his melee. If we can get a male out of those two, I can then breed him with her. Whereas at the moment, these two are breeding, so you never know, somewhere we might get to a point where I've got a male who's got the weight and the melee, in which case I'll then just breed, you know, him with her. But yeah, just the way this just might speed the process up. But like I say, even with my server settings, it's still taking quite a while. It takes about maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and then it's just a matter of luck whether you've got the exact stats that you need. And of course, now that I've got one that's got these two, I mean, there's still quite a few stats that these will be different on, and you could end up, you know, where, say for example, in the fool gets like, you know, his health for instance, but it gets her stamina. It gets more tricky, so it just takes time. So I'm going to keep at this, and then when I've made a bit more progress, I'll bring it back. Now this seems to be going a bit better than I expected, actually. So I was breeding the male that's got 361 in melee. The female over there, she's got 588 in weight, which is just about to pop another one, it seems. But I've now got this one here, so she's got, yeah, 588 in weight, 361 in melee. Just double checking, 361 melee, 588 in weight. Welcome to the club. Oh, a male. Oh, that was lucky. Because that was my problem, was the fact that she's female. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't work in ARK, unfortunately. So that, I mean, you can use S+. S+ does have some interesting tools that you see. You can like, you can actually fix these problems. But as sheer luck would have it, their next fool just happens to have those same settings anyway. So it's like, yay! And he's even got her red top, I must admit, which is interesting. But I'm curious about this one here. This one is the... She's, well, he I should say. He was the offspring of these two. Now, he doesn't have the stats, but interesting if he does have a mutation in something. I'll wait until it gets a bit brighter, because I think it's just because one of the things you get with these mutations is sometimes you get some colours, so you get an improvement in the stat, but you get some colours, and that's something I'm interested in. It's too early to be getting mutations at this stage. Speaking of which, I need to make sure that you don't have any, because you don't want mutations It's not that big of a deal with what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal with what I'm doing at the moment, but it's usually best to set up a breeding line and you just don't have any mutations. Right, so... Are you stuck or something? There you go. You can jump. Right, if we can get you to then breed with her, I mean, she's kind of like a bit busy at the minute. Although, actually, what I can do is I can take the other male out of the way because he's now served his purpose. Actually, I better make sure that they're all finished, actually. It's a tight squeeze in here, I must admit. I should really probably start putting them away into cryopods, I suppose. Oh, straight up the bum. That's not good. Really messes up your camera. Right, so... yeah, we'll get these two to now breed because you've got... so you're a male. And you've got... you're a male. And you've got the weight. And you've got the melee. So that's actually quite fortunate then. Interesting to see what her offspring's like, I must admit. But like I say, it's really just a game of patience more than anything. And look, seriously, I don't need rubber banding. Probably looking at me and saying, what, again? Seriously? Yes, I'm afraid so. Yeah, this is what we have to do. Right. Take this one. I'm gonna put this one to one side because I say it's just a case of seeing what interesting colours we might get. So yeah, she's not really needed. Anyway, we'll get these ones breeding, and then we'll see what we get out of those. Ah, now that was lucky. Their first foal is this one here. So this one's got the health, the stamina, and the weight. The only catch is, well, the melee is on the male, and this one, well, he's a dude. So yeah, you know, that ain't gonna work. We don't have the technology, so I thought, oh, in that case, what I'll do is I'll leave these two to keep breeding. You know, you never know, I might end up with a one that's got all 4 stats, or a combo that I can combine with this. But then at the time, what I was doing as well is I'm breeding this one and this one together because I'm just experimenting just to see, because she didn't get all of the full stats she could have got because her taming didn't go to plan, as I was saying. So I'm breeding him with her just to see. And as it turns out, they gave me this foal here. Now she has got his 361 melee. The only catch, as I've just found out, is yeah, she's got a mutation, so I'm going to have to leave her out of the line, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep breeding these two together, see if I can get a female, because all I need is just a female to breed with him to give me the melee as well, so that I get a foal that's got all 4 stats. But in the meantime, ooh, we've now got another little one's just popped. So let's see. This one, she's 221, so chances are she doesn't have all 4. Right, she's got the health. She doesn't have the stamina. Yeah, she's got the weight, but she doesn't have the melee. So yeah, she's not really going to be doing much to add anything to the breeding program, sadly. So I guess we'll just have to keep plodding on until we can make some more progress. Now, I thought as much. So when I tamed this Equus here, taming didn't go to plan. I fluffed it up. So I've been breeding her with him just to check, because as far as I'm aware, you can salvage things. So what we've actually got is this little dude over here. Now, his melee is 249. He doesn't have any mutations. And these are his parents here. So the male has a melee of 361. For the female, it's 241. In other words, he doesn't have a melee level that matches either of the two parents, but he doesn't have a mutation. And the reason for that is because he can actually salvage the level. So that melee level would have been the melee level that she would have got if we were getting 100% taming efficiency. So it can be done. We're now getting closer to what we need. So I've now got a male, and he's got the health, he's got the stamina, he's got the weight, and he's got the melee. But he doesn't have any mutations. So that's exactly what we want for a male breeder. Yeah. Just like to check and double check. He's got no imprinting either, which, to be honest, doesn't really matter in like the breeding program, because the imprinting never gets passed on anyway. But all the same, I like that because it doesn't skew the stats at all when you're actually doing your breeding. So I got him from these two, so that was probably just as well I did breed those two together. So that's made things easier. Now, yeah, statistically, I mean, the chance of getting a female with all 4 stats from them, I don't know. I may well actually end up with one from these two. You just don't know. I mean, it does take a while. I mean, it takes them like a while. There's a gap between when they're allowed to breed. There's the gap for how long it takes for them to mate, and then there's the gap for the gestation. The gestation period alone's about 5 minutes, so it does take time. I'm still playing around with these two to find out if I can get any more out of the stats I would have got from her. Doesn't really tell me much. Just curiosity, that's saying what? Yeah, those stats that I'm seeing are the stats that she's actually got. I'm just basically curious to see, you know, what stats, because I know that I've got this stat, this high in melee. Just out of curiosity, I want to see if we can get any other like insights into what sort of like stats she would have had if she'd been fully tamed. But anyway, kind of like halfway there, so I just need a female breeder who's got all 4 of those stats. Ooh, have we got a lucky one? No. I can tell straight up because of the level. Chances are not. So yeah, it doesn't have the health, doesn't have the stamina, doesn't have the weight, only has the melee. So yeah, it's again, it's back to a game of patience then. Oh, that was so close. So these two, yeah. You seemed a bit overly excited there. So this one here that's just popped, so that's, you know, from these two here. This was like really close because the breeder's level 228. I'm thinking, oh yes, we've finally got a female, but she doesn't have the weight. So she's got the health, she's got the stamina, and she's got the melee. So we're very close. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to get her to breed with him. It's going to mess things up because there's going to be a stat that they don't have. I'll keep these two breeding here just on the off chance, because what I really need is a male and a female who've got exactly the same stats, and that way all of their offspring have exactly the same stats that you want. Otherwise it can mess things up, especially if like you want to be doing like mutations and what have you. Now, speaking of which, let me just double check. You don't have any, do you? No, she doesn't have any mutations. That's okay. So it's not perfect, It just means there's one stat that these two don't agree on, but at least it gets me a bit closer, because I've probably got more chance of getting a breeding pair out of these two, I think, than say these ones, because these ones are just very, very far apart. She's only got the melee, whereas he's got the health, the stamina and the weight. On the other hand, that one there, that one's got all the stats, and this female here is just missing one stat, so I'm more inclined to get her, as I say. Oh, breed with him. I think this will probably go better, but again, it's just, you know, it's just down to luck and more than anything. I'm seriously gonna have to start clearing this place up. I was tempted to actually go over to the other area, to be honest, because there's more room. But yeah. Right, so we'll get these two to get jiggy with it, and then we'll see what we get next. Well, not entirely what we wanted, but we are getting there. I mean, these two here, they've given me a female that's got all of the stats, but she must have picked up a higher stat in something else. 585, 6150. Yeah, so she must have higher food. So we've ended up with a female that's got all the stats, but because she's picked up one of the other higher stats from the female, she's not exactly the same as the male, but all the same, I'm going to keep her, and I'll now get him to breed with both of those, and then eventually, I mean, I'll either get a female that's got exactly the same stats as he's got, which is fine, that'll do, or I'll end up with a male that's got exactly the same stats that she's got. I mean, either way, I should eventually end up with a breeding pair. Yeah, there is one other Equus that I got from these two. I just want to take a bit of a peek at this one again, because just because of it's more of its colours, because the colours stood out a bit more for me. In other words, it's got the white markings from the mother, but it looks like it's picked up some of the dark markings from the father. I thought at first they were just like white and black, which would have been interesting, but there's no mutations or anything. But anyway, I'm going to get back to my breeding, because I've got quite a lot of them breeding now. I think what I'll do is I may as well stop these ones. There's no point going any further with these. I mean, it is possible well, I haven't said that. There's always a possibility that those two could give me a female that matches the other male, but these ones are... I'm not having much luck with these ones. It's I'm getting a lot of these lower level ones that have got some of the stats, but not necessarily all of them, so it's taking a long time. So I think we'll stop these two, because we don't need anything more out of these two. Because I've got a better chance with the other ones now. So yeah, looks like we're finally getting there then. Well, we finally got ourselves a breeding pair. Actually, as it turns out, we've got two. Yes. I've bred the male with the two females here. So it's a case of the male breeder, he's got all of the stats, but we ended up with a female. Yeah, she's got higher levels, but all the stats, and this one's missing one. And just like Murphy's Law, it's a case of what I ended up with is now a male who's level 237 and's got all the stats, so we could breed him with her. But I ended up with twins, level 228 from the other one, and they've got all of the stats. They're both females, so 18, 15, 2576, 588 and 361. So since the only difference really is, well, there's an extra 9 levels, but that's really just down to the actual much higher food. I mean, 6150 versus 4800. Now I don't need that, and it's kind of a waste of levels. There's an upper limit of 450 levels on ARK, so it's not really in my interests to actually waste that level. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll say thank you to her, put her to one side, finished with her as well. And what I am going to do, I'll pick one of these two. Doesn't really matter, the twins anyway. Yeah, so she's a female, 1815, 25765, 88361. So she's going to be a female breeder. I mean, I could keep the other one. If I was going to get into mutations and what have you, it would make sense, but really all we're doing here is we just want a baby that's going to be fully imprinted. And it's gonna, then I'll have to sort of like level it up. Doesn't really matter if we end up with any sort of like mutations or not. Actually, I've just realised that. Yes, you're the male breeder and you're the female breeder. I was just double checking there. I mean, I could start introducing colours, I suppose, and I am actually tempted to do that, you know. Because I mean. No, I mean the colours aren't bad, but there's some more exciting colours out there, shall we say? Because I mean, it's a bit dark where we've got these. It's like if you looking at this one, it's not really that exciting, I must admit. I do quite like that one, but yeah, I'm not sure about. Should really introduce colours, but I think the more important thing at this stage really is I just want to get a Equus that I can use to actually do those missions. I want to be able to at least do some testing. So what we're going to do is just going to get these two to breed, but I'm going to have to do full imprinting on that baby. So I've got all sorts of bits and pieces in the ovens here, and the fridges, I should say. So we've got lots of different types of meats, all the different types of berries. I've got vegetables as well. I don't have kibble, I must admit. So the problem I've got is these server settings. The baby's just going to grow so quickly that even if I did get all of the things that I needed, it's going to get basically mature far quicker than I can keep up, and I can't pop it out through a cryopod. So, being S+, I mean, I've got choices. I could put the settings back and have to go through that extremely long and laborious process of having to wait for it to fully mature so that I can properly imprint it. It takes about, I can tweak it to probably maybe half an hour or an hour, but it means messing around with the server settings again. Or what I could do, and I've just noticed this, somebody's just popped here. What I could do is get the S+ nanny. So what does that need? Now I think that needs... Now that needs 50 human hair. I don't know if I've got enough to do that. I'm going to have to start. I need another 39 human hair, so it's... decisions. Do I have to wait until I start chopping my hair off? Or do I have to start messing around with the server settings? I've only got 11 there. Let's have a look in here. We've got some scissors, I think. So I don't know if I can get much off of my hair here. So let's set the hair length back. So I've got 20 for that. I could chop his beard down as well. Oh, have we got enough? Put the scissors back before I forget. Let's try that again, just out of curiosity to see. Otherwise, I'm going to have to wait until... Oh, I'm 9 short. Right, so either way, I'm going to have to tweak the server settings. Bar. Well, I finally managed to do it. So I've got two actual Equus, because I ended up with twins incidentally. So I've got Bill and Ben because they're both male. So they've got the actual stats from our breeding pair. I've been cleaning up. I'm not doing any more breeding for now. I mean, might come back and revisit this to... I mean, you never know. I might be interested in trying some colours. But for now, the plan is I want to level these up. Yeah, so I'm I'm going to try different strategies. I mean, one thing, you can put them into, say, like a cryopod in a cryo fridge. That's one. Oh, hello.
Why, hello there.
That's a quick way of getting like levels with your dinos, in this case an Equus. But I think I'll take one of them at least over to the island and see how it gets on with some gigas that I've got over there. I mean, that's a pretty quick way of sort of like leveling things, because the plan is to be able to do these two missions, so Bulb Dog Fetch and Mewing Poach. The only challenge is trying to get a decent actual saddle. I don't think I've got anything on this map. Sometimes if you do, I think it's Downwind River or something, there's a, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, the downriver run. If you do that, there's a chance you might get some Equus saddles from that. Otherwise, I've just got the basic one over here, it seems. Otherwise, I think what I might end up doing is I think I might go around some of the actual other DLCs that I've got. So like the Island, Scorched Earth, and Extinction, just to see if I've got any blueprints or saddles, or at least maybe that's how I'm going to have to find them, because the idea is you want to use one of these to actually knock out, you know, either the bulb dogs or the Maywings, but you're going to have to use rare flowers to attract, especially the Maywings, so that they don't keep running away. The problem is then, if you get a lot of them, will take, you know, your horse will take a heck of a lot of damage. So like a decent saddle would be good to sort of like offset some of that damage that's incoming. But yeah, that could be the next tricky part. So leveling might be fairly easy in comparison to finding a decent saddle, but that's something I've got to be doing next. But either way, I've now got some Equus that I can actually now at least level and then potentially try. So yeah, may well be that that's the next thing we're doing, is these missions. I mean, I have been trying some other ones, because like I've said before, the problem with this DLC is that if you want to be able to take on Rockwell, you've got to do all of the actual missions at a certain level. And I must admit, I've been trying Star Dolphin and Starwing Strike, and they've seriously altered those since they first came out. If you look on YouTube at any videos that have been done maybe about a year ago, for instance, you'll find that was so much easier at gamma level compared to what it's like now. You've barely got to touch the wall and you just take so much damage. You kind of like glitch through the wall essentially, and you just take so much damage. And it's also the design of the game is terrible, because you've got to follow a targeting reticule instead of, I mean, you can't even put it into first person perspective. You've got to basically point the reticule at where you want to go, and when things start getting bad, I'm finding it very, very difficult to do that, because I'm focused on where our little dolphin, our space dolphin's actually going to, rather than where that reticule's pointing. So I'm seriously struggling with these two as well. So yeah, that's something I'm going to have to think about. I mean, other ones, yeah, these ones like Life Support, I suppose, and Code Red, Choose Your Own Adventure, I'll have to try those at some point. But I need decent armour, Survive the ARK as well. Yeah, I'll probably need decent armour for that, so I might have to go around the maps and see where I've left my blueprints. But at least I'm making progress towards that Bulb Dog Fetch Mewing Poach now. And of course, that's all for another episode.